I'm John Batchelor. This is the John Batchelor Show. John Fund of the Wall Street Journal is here with me, and we're going to speak of Madison in just a bit. We're going to go to an expert of it, Mr. Healy. Right now, I want to speak of Madison from the point of view of the White House. Mr. Fund, the president, all centrism all the time during the lame duck session. It did him very well in the polling over the holidays and into January, and up to the State of the Union, offering a hand to both sides. Very much a man in the middle of the partisanship. But since Madison, Wisconsin, and since the statements by the president and OFA, it's now apparent that he's gone radical on us, that he's sided with the most militant aspects of the municipal unions. So, these two messages, are they both David Axelrod, and what is the thinking here in Chicago as they move into the election cycle?
Well, just remember, the most loyal, most dependable elements of the Democratic coalition are the public employee unions.
Right.
They provide a lot of cash, a lot of foot soldiers. Since the unions believed that what was happening in Wisconsin was an existential threat to their existence all around the country eventually, the president, frankly, had no choice politically but to come out in support of them. In fact, I think, frankly, he did less than what many people would have wanted him to do on the left. And I believe he had no choice. The president is still a leftist. That hasn't changed. The fent to the center, I think, hasn't ended, but it has certainly been sidetracked by Madison. This is not an event the president would have predicted or wanted.
The way it's been explained to me from the congressional point of view is that the message in Madison fights the message in Washington and has confused the Democrats during the CR contest and will confuse them again during the Senate contest. This is not a centrist in the White House. This is a man who identifies with activism. Okay, good for him. But that was not the strategy as I understood it after the State of the Union.
Of course, and they would not have wished this. But remember, this is the community organizer-in-chief.
Right.
And what is happening in Madison, but the unions and the organized left, community organizing. And he has to stand with them. Now, I do believe this will be in the short term a hit to his popularity because I don't think the result in Wisconsin is going to go well for the unions.
Madison, Wisconsin, Scott Walker, a sudden new hero, a folk hero for the Republican Party. It is galvanizing the Republicans in the Tea Party, who of course were at the center of the victory in November and have a great deal of energy with the 112th Congress. So at a moment when you could say, oh, they're rookies, they're making mistakes, we now have evidence that what they are is, in fact, the strength of the Republican Party. How does that suit the president? Does he mean to push the Republicans into a place that he can demonize? Is that what he wants in Washington?
Assuming that he does not get a centrist outcome, that the battle over the budget cuts and all of that don't adhere to his benefit, I think the president is going to go for a Rove strategy of 2004. Karl Rove decided to re-elect President George W. Bush by a base mobilization strategy. Find every Republican, find every supporter of the country, get them to the polls, do not reach out to the center, do not reach out to independents. It worked, but albeit very narrowly. Remember, Bush was reelected only 51-48 over a rather weak Democrat, John Kerry.
And as I recall, it was about 40,000 votes in Ohio that determined that election.
Yes.
And it was enough, it was close enough so that John Kerry was reluctant to make concessions those last hours.
Right. Now, the president can still move back to the center. For example, the House has just passed $62 billion in budget cuts. The Senate has to negotiate with the House on that. If the president ultimately signs the product of that, he once again can say, well, when it comes to Washington, when it comes to my job, forget this rhetorical support I give the unions. I once again turned out to be the man of the center.
All right, now you're giving me the image of the spatula. Wasn't that it? You know, the flip-flop? I mean, one day a centrist, one day a radical, one day a centrist, one day a radical. Where does Axelrod want to fight this in Madison? Does he want to fight this from the point of view of we stood with the municipal unions? Is that where he wants to fight this?
Axelrod is a man of the left. He's a man of the unions. He believes that the American people will rebel against the Republicans because he thinks collective bargaining is a human right, and the American people will. He genuinely believes that the unions will get people on their side. They just have to yell enough, and they have to promote their point of view enough.
Staying with the White House and its conversation with the Senate, because the Senate now gets that $62 billion. Where does Harry Reid want the president to be? Centrist or radical? What suits the majority leader?
I don't have clear signals. It's unclear because Harry Reid right now has only 53 Democrats. He's in a holding action against Mitch McConnell and a well-disciplined Republican minority. In addition, every few days he seems to be losing another Democrat who retires.
Bingaman's gone from New Mexico. Webb's gone from Virginia. There are more to come, I'm told.
Yes. What this means is the calculus in Washington now is with all of these retirements that the odds are strongly in favor of the Republicans taking over the Senate in 2012, which would mean, of course, no more Majority Leader Harry Reid.
So Harry Reid's drawing to an inside straight. You know, the chances of winning are astronomical.
The sands in the hourglass are running through.
All right, we're going to turn to Madison directly next. John Fund of the Wall Street Journal is here with me. We looked at it from the point of view of the president. Now we're going to look at it from the point of view of Governor Scott Walker, a new folk hero to the Republican Party. And then after that, we'll look at it from the point of view of the Senate as it prepares for that continuing resolution passed by the House GOP. I'm John Batchelor with John Fund.